Can you say direct election interference? My friends, the Democrats, the big media are getting absolutely desperate. There is no question about it now. They are doing everything they can to try to rig, cheat, and steal this election. Good morning, Kuhner country. Okay, we are now 24 hours away from the most consequential election in our lifetime, arguably since 1860. And as things stand right now, make no mistake about it, if this is anywhere near, anywhere close to an honest, free, and fair election, Donald Trump is winning in a landslide. In a landslide. There is no question. Whether it's early voting, whether it's Republican turnout, whether it's people surging at the polls in key battleground states, Trump has beaten Harris on every single front. And to show you how bad it is, Elon Musk last night went up on X and showed the chart backed by full data and evidence that now at this point in the race, in the vote count, Trump has added 600,000 new Republican voters in Pennsylvania. In other words, it's getting too big to rig in PA. Or at least that's what Musk is saying. We shall see tomorrow night. But what is now clear is there is now a clear groundswell of support for Trump. In fact, to show you the kind of groundswell, last night, this is Sunday night, J.D. Vance made an appearance, a rally in New Hampshire. And I've seen the pictures. It's like a rock concert. You have to see this line. It just went on and on and on and on. And this is in New Hampshire. And as many people were pointing out, this maybe you get for a presidential candidate, but for a vice presidential candidate, something is happening in New Hampshire. And most of the people in line were not wearing a MAGA hat. They were not wearing a MAGA shirt or MAGA sneakers or shoes or whatever. These are exhausted, sick and tired, middle working class Americans who are now truly, truly done with the Democratic regime and the war that they've waged on them and their standard of living. That's what you're seeing now. Ordinary, middle working class people, they're not part of the America First movement per se. They're not part of the MAGA movement per se, who are just saying, I can't do this anymore. I can't pay the gas. I can't pay my food. I can't pay my groceries. I can't pay my bills. I can't keep doing a second job. I just can't go on like this anymore. We're exhausted. We're nearly broke. And we need a change, and a desperate change. So we're going to see what happens tomorrow. Everybody, just so that you know, we have John Deaton on today at 9:30 to discuss his race with Elizabeth Warren. But also I'm going to be asking him about his attacks on President Trump and what it means if he should win the Senate seat here in Massachusetts. What can we expect from him should Trump win the presidency? So you don't want to miss that interview. And then at 9:45, Lily Tang is taking on Jake Sullivan's wife for the 2nd Congressional District in New Hampshire. She roasted her in a debate a couple nights ago. It has now gone viral. Lily Tang is now waging a MAGA insurgency campaign and may pick off a very important seat in New Hampshire. And as Lily Tang goes, so goes New Hampshire for Trump. So we're going to have both of these exclusive newsmaker interviews, 9:30, 9:45. Now, the big story. As Trump is surging, as his momentum now grows and grows and grows and grows as we approach the finish line, the big media, corporate America, the liberal Democrat machine is now getting more and more desperate. So, Kamala Harris was supposed to go to Michigan. They need to win Michigan if they have any shot at winning the election. But Kamala, being Kamala, had to instead party and hang out with her Hollywood elite friends. And so, on Saturday night, NBC's Saturday Night Live, and I haven't watched these people in 40 years. They're not funny. To me, they were never funny. But if they were funny, they're certainly no longer funny. They're politically correct. They're woke. To me, it's third-rate comedic talent, pushing one liberal line after another. Honestly, who watches SNL? I don't know, but it's not me. Anyway, let that go. They kept it a secret until an hour before she got on the air. The opening sketch of Saturday Night Live. Remember, this is the last Saturday Night Live before the election. Now, this is going to be very important. That's it. There's no more SNLs before November 5th, Tuesday. And guess who did what they call the cold open, which is the opening segment, the opening sketch. There was Kamala Harris. That's right. Along with Tanya Rudolph, who impersonates her and does her on the skit. And it was nothing more than one long ad for Kamala, masquerading as quote-unquote comedy. She's sitting down in front of a mirror. The impersonator is sitting down on the opposite side of the mirror, and they're supposedly talking to each other. And they're trying to sell Kamala Harris. She's cool. She's hip. She's funny. Roll cut 13. Mike.
Wow, well, this is it. The last campaign stop in Pennsylvania. Gosh, I wish I could talk to someone who's been in my shoes, you know? A black South Asian woman running for president, preferably from the Bay Area.
You and me both, sister.
It's nice to see you, Kamala.
It is nice to see you, Kamala. And I'm just here to remind you, you got this. Because you can do something your opponent cannot do. You can open doors.
I see what you did there, like to a garbage truck, right?
I don't really laugh like that, do I?
A little bit.
So, and then it ends with basically the next president of the United States, Kamala Harris. And everybody starts cheering. And so that was Maya Rudolph. My bad, I said Tanya. That was Maya Rudolph, the impersonator. And, you know, cackling, laughing, giggling. She ends up holding Kamala. They stand up, and the whole crowd starts cheering. Now, that's an FCC violation. What you just heard now, and what the few of you, or maybe none of you, whoever, I don't know how many, who watches Saturday Night Live, but the few people that managed to watch that dreck calling itself a comedy show, you're staring at direct election, blatant election interference. This violates what's known as the FCC's, the Federal Communications Commission's, quote-unquote, equal time law. It's a rule, a mandatory rule. Like, for example, just to give you, we have John Deaton on today at 9:30. We had to go, whether we like it or not, by law, we had to go to the Elizabeth Warren campaign and offer her the same time on our show. Now, they don't want to come on our show because they know I'm going to grill her. But the fact is, had we not made that offer, we would be fined millions of dollars. So this is what I'm trying to say. If you, whether you're a public, when you're a public broadcaster, whether TV or radio, You must give equal time to both sides when you're pushing a public candidacy. Right in front of our eyes, NBC News, which owns Saturday Night Live, broke the FCC law. There's no getting around it. None. What they should have done is gone to Donald Trump and said, we've just invited Kamala Harris to come on. Will you also accept an invitation and come on as well? Now, if he says no, that's fine. That's his business. But at least you offered equal time. They never did that. They never did that. NBC News literally broke the law. They violated the FCC. And so, as I said last night, Donald Trump and the RNC should sue the pants off of NBC for massive damages, because this was a huge in-kind contribution to Kamala Harris. If they've got to rig Saturday Night Live to try to prop her over the top across the finish line, you know Kamala's in trouble. 620 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, my friends, this is Kuhner country. What I want to do today, and I'm going to do it tomorrow as well, is they're going to be almost like two unique special shows. I want it to be more freewheeling. I want to take as many calls as possible. You know me, I like to be very thematic when I, do a show or, tackle a topic. But honestly, I can sense the nervousness among most of you. I'm getting so many emails, so many messages on Messenger. Mike and I have been talking, pre-show, even off air. And this is where basically the team is. Mike is cautiously optimistic. Mike says, I feel good, but I don't trust the Democrats. And so, if you forced me to put a bet, I would probably bet Trump, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Democrats steal the election. Sandy was fairly confident about a week ago. She's out doing stuff for the show, so she's going to come back in the control room very soon. So we're going to ask her what she thinks. Grace, my wonderful wife, last night, she and I had a long conversation over dinner, and she is convinced that the Democrats are going to steal it. She thinks that, no, the problem is we're too busy fighting the last war. We're focused on how the Democrats stole it in 2020. We're not going to see what they have in store for us when they steal it in 2024. That the deep state is not going to allow Trump to come back to power. The rhinos won't allow him to come back to power. As she put it, you've got the Bush family against, these are oligarchs. The Bush family's against Trump. The Cheney family's against Trump. You go across, the Clintons are against him. The Obamas are against him. The Bidens are against him. That the political oligarchs and their deep state allies are going to do everything in their power to block or deny Trump his victory. My sister-in-law, who's visiting us this week, already voted in Arizona, is 50-50. She says there's no question, because I specifically drilled down with her, and I said, listen, Lori, what are you seeing in Arizona before you came? She said, look, there are Trump flags everywhere. Everywhere. Even in places like Phoenix, which is supposed to be a blue area. But the Democrats have such a good voter fraud machine. And she goes, nothing would surprise me with them. So she goes, look, you're completely right. If it's anything close to an honest, free, and fair election, Donald Trump is the next president. But, and this is what Lori said, I don't like that smirk on Kamala's face. I don't like that smirk on Obama's face. And apparently in private, now this could just be bravado. This could just be, the dear leader being the dear leader, because he is a BSer. Okay, he's a known BSer. He's a slick-talking con man. That's what Barack Obama is. He's telling everybody it's in the bag. He's not worried. He's 100% confident. He's giving everybody winks. Like his machine has this completely under control. So he's like, wink, wink. Don't worry. Do I look worried to you? Do I look worried to you? Now, Mike asked me, Jeff, if you had to make a major bet, who would you vote for? Okay, who would you place your bet on? And I'll tell you exactly what I told Mike off air. I said, I'm willing to bet my whole house, the kids' college funds, my entire bank account, my cars, everything I have on Donald Trump. I'm telling you, he's going to win. And then he said to me, don't you have the slightest doubt? I go, look, the only doubt that I have, it's not really doubt. The only thing that's like turning in my stomach a little bit and is constantly in the back of my head is, how are the Democrats going to steal this? What is it that they're doing that we're not catching? Now, big story out of Georgia, okay? You need to hear this, then I promise the lines are jammed. I'm going to go right to the calls. In 4 counties in Georgia, listen now to this. You want to talk about the steal is on. Fulton County, Cobb County, DeKalb County, and Gwinnett counties decided at the last minute over the weekend, this is illegal. Counting must stop. Early voting has ended. They have to wait till election day. No. Not in those 4 counties. They decided to start accepting ballots over the weekend. And not only accepting ballots, they began to count the ballots without Republican poll watchers in the room. You're not supposed to accept any more ballots. They broke the law. You're not supposed to count ballots. They broke the law. You're supposed to have Republican poll watchers watching you. They broke the law. The Republicans sued, and I'll tell you what happened next. 631 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, very quickly, because I want to go to the phone lines. Huge breaking story. So this is out of Georgia. Georgia will be one of the most pivotal swing states in this election. Fulton County, Cobb County, DeKalb County, and Gwinnett counties now have broken the law. This happened over the weekend. They extended absentee balloting. Absentee balloting had to stop on Friday. They deliberately extended it over the weekend. So they were counting ballots that they were legally not allowed to count. What makes it even worse, so in blatant violation of the law, but it's worse than that. They then refused to allow Republican poll watchers to observe the entire process. And the head of the Georgia Republican Party filed an immediate lawsuit demanding that Republican poll watchers, at a bare minimum, be allowed into the building. Well, the registration manager refused to let Republican poll watchers into the building where they were illegally counting these absentee ballots. And this is what the registration manager said from Fulton County, which, by the way, that's where Atlanta is. And this is what the RNC rightly argued. They go, these are mostly deep blue areas, Atlanta being the stronghold. So they are counting thousands and thousands and thousands of illegal ballots behind closed doors. And we're not even allowed to watch and observe the process. They're breaking the law on multiple fronts. This is what the registration manager said in an email to Republican complaints. Quote, do not let them in, meaning the Republican poll watchers, do not let them in the building. If they want to observe from the parking lot. You can't stop that. But they are not allowed to sit in the building. And continues to say, quote, and have security detail enforce it. Now, Michael Whatley and Lara Trump went to a judge and immediately threatened to sue. After tremendous pressure, they have now relinquished, and apparently now they're allowing Republicans to go into the building, and they have started to observe the process. So they got away with some cheating, with some voter fraud, but not complete cheating and complete voter fraud. And I'll be honest, that's because they got rid of Ronna McDaniel and replaced her with Lara Trump and Michael Whatley, who at least are on Trump's side. So they're not trying to sabotage him at every turn. So at least they're fighting. They're putting up some resistance. Now, so the poll watchers are now back in. But what the Republican poll watchers are complaining about is they're saying we're being pushed very far back. Remember, it's like 2020? We really can't see what a lot of them are doing. And these ballots are not supposed to be counted. Yet they continue to count them. So they are trying to steal Georgia. Now, I am convinced, I could be wrong, and you may think I'm being naive, which is fine. My wife does. My sister-in-law does. My own sister does. So, again, you may disagree with the Kuhner man. To be honest, I don't think they're going to be able to steal enough votes. What they wanted was an entire weekend where they can just pack in these votes, pile up vote after vote after vote after vote after vote. This time, there's no question, there will be fraudulent votes cast in this election. The Democrats will have cheated. There's no question now. The question is, can they cheat enough? That's the only question. And I'm hoping that the Republicans have done enough to mitigate, enough to partially block them, that we make it too big to rig. What is incumbent upon all of us, we must vote. Everybody must vote. Bring a friend to vote. Bring a family member to vote. A colleague to vote. A neighbor to vote. You have to vote and bring people to vote. We have to swamp the polls. That's our only path to victory. It's not enough to just legitimately win it. We have to win it and win it again and win it again to overcome their cheating. Because cheating, my friends, they are. But even with all this cheating, there is just such a surge of support for Trump. I am willing to bet the house. Really, I'm serious. So we shall find out. I want to open up the phone lines to the best audience in the business. 617-266-6868. It's all on the table. Did Saturday Night Live violate FCC laws, FCC rules? Should NBC be fined? Should Trump sue them for damages? Is this election interference? And how do you feel about tomorrow's election? Are you confident? Are you nervous and confident? Or are you nervous and anxious? I.e., you're like my wife. You're like Lori, my sister-in-law. You're like my sister. You fear the Democrats are going to steal it. Where do you stand on the spectrum? 617-266-6868. Mike, let's unleash the hounds. Verna in Arlington. You're going to kick us off, Verna. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Thank you very much, Jeff, as always. As soon as I heard you start this morning, I said I've got to call because I was at the Derry, New Hampshire rally last night, and we went. There was a couple of us that went, and I just wanted to share about that, and just wanted to say keep fighting strong. There's also, as a Christian and Catholic woman, there are prophetic speakers that I'll say also that are evangelical, Pentecostal, charismatic, prophetic speakers that are saying that Trump will win, that they are hearing from God. Now, as to whether people will believe all that or not, that's up to you and up to them. But there is real strong sentiment and belief and factual, input from God, supposedly. Anyhow, I just wanted to say that. But the rally last night was phenomenal.
I want to get to the rally. If you don't, so the left is poo-pooing this rally in Derry. They're saying, whoa, I've seen longer lines at a movie theater. And so was the rally packed? How many people in your estimate were there? And from everything I've read, they said there were very few people, and this is not a criticism, with MAGA hats or MAGA shirts. This was really the disillusioned, disaffected, punished, middle and working class that really now are exhausted with the Biden regime, and they want an alternative, and that alternative is Trump and Biden. Sorry, Trump and J.D. Vance. My bad. They're sick of Biden. They want Trump, and they want Vance. Did you see the same?
There, we got there at 3:00. We were standing in line till about 6. There were hundreds of people before us. Hundreds of people came after us. Most people had Trump T-shirts and gear on, and everybody was talking. But people are very irritated and frustrated, and they know all the games that are going on, and that's what we saw. And then inside the rally was phenomenal. I mean, it was just signs all over, and people were really excited. So that's what we saw, and we were part of that. So if there's more that I can, ask me.
Excellent. How was JD? How was his speech?
Good. He only went about, I guess, a half an hour, so it wasn't as long as we thought it would be. And Don Jr., who we thought was going to come, didn't show. So, but JD was very good, right on point. Introduced his wife as well. She came on with him, and he was excellent. People just loved him, and people were yelling out JD, JD, USA, all the things that we hear at rallies. But he was excellent, Jeff, really excellent.
Just final question, Verna. Did he exude confidence?
Yes, he did. I would say absolutely yes. 1,000%, yes.
Interesting. Verna, before I let you go, if you were to make a bet on Trump and JD winning New Hampshire, apparently now the media is admitting it's a coin toss. It's a coin flip. They say it could go break either way. They're going by the polls that it's neck and neck right down to the wire. Who do you think is going to take New Hampshire? Kamala or Trump?
I would default to Trump and Vance. From what I hear and people that I know up there, there's signs all over for Trump, and people feel very confident. So I will go with the Trump choice, absolutely, but we'll see what happens. So. Interesting.
Verna, thank you very much for that call. I'm telling you right now, if Trump takes New Hampshire, he takes the election. I mean, just take it to the bank, because that means he's winning the swing states. So if he takes New Hampshire, if Kuhner Country does their job and does their mission up in New Hampshire and puts Trump over the top, we're winning this baby. James, speaking of New Hampshire, in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, James, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. Thank you for taking my call.
My pleasure, James.
Yes, as you are aware, the Secretary of State and the AG's office has sent a memorandum letter of guidance last minute, last week, on the 30th, actually, to give guidance.
James, Mike, you're really killing me with these breaks again, man. I'm just saying, Mike, we are 24 hours away from the most important election, Mike. Would it kill you to extend it a little bit? James, I'm up against a break. Please hang on. I'm coming right back to you. 6:50 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868. Okay, we're now actually less than 24 hours away from the most important election in our lifetime. My question to you, how do you feel? How do you feel? What does your gut tell you? Who do you think is going to win? Who do you think is going to lose? lines are jammed. James, we're going to go right back to you in New Hampshire. So we got cut off. Please, can you just quickly reset what you said and then keep going, James? Please.
Sure. Yes. So, quickly, to recap, the Secretary of State of New Hampshire and the New Hampshire AG's office compiled a last-minute memorandum of guidance for all the towns in the state of New Hampshire. And Section 4 of that specifically states the ballot hand counting. Now, New Hampshire has machines and hand counting towns as well. They have a multitude of both. So they state that if a voter, it says in there, if I can quickly summarize, it says in there, if a voter requests and is insistent that they want to have their ballot hand counted and prefer that, if the town has a machine, they can request that, and if they do, then they are to be told that they've broken, that's against the law, which it's not, that it's against the law, and that they have to take their name down, their first name and last name down, and they'll be put on a list, and then they have to accept the ballot in the side pouch for hand counting. So they're going to be put on a verboten list for later crimes later on. It makes no sense. This is an act of desperation, Jeff. That's all this is an act of desperation. We have them on the ropes. And before I can get into the reason why, I have to share with Kuhner Country that you have to understand the fraud that's going on, and not just in New Hampshire, nationwide, is like a 20-foot concrete wall. And all the voters that come in are like a surging wave. And if we have a tidal wave of voters, so I want everyone to come out and vote. If we have a tidal wave of voters come, we can crest that fraud and overcome it. We can beat this. It can be done, but everyone has to go out and vote. Everyone. You have to bring everyone that even thinks, oh, they're going to steal it anyway. No, get that person to vote, because it will count. Now, my objections or beliefs in the motives are, I know I called the show before, back after before the primary, and I advised that everyone should request hand count. And I believe there's an algorithm, and I believe myself in my heart, I can't prove it 100%, but I believe in my heart what sent Trump over the top for the primary is the few of us that beat the algorithm with a hand count. And this is an act of desperation by the deep state, and this is left and right deep state that are stealing all our money and funneling it through all their LLCs in New Hampshire. They have to be stopped. And this is an act of desperation, and I believe that if enough of us hand count, we can beat the algorithm in New Hampshire, and if enough of us show up and vote nationwide, we can beat and overcome this 20-foot wall with a tsunami of
That's very well
voters.
said. I love the metaphor. I think it's a brilliant metaphor. And I think that's what Trump is banking on. And I think that's why privately he and J.D. Vance, from everything I've been reading, they are supremely confident of victory because they know how big the surge of support is. And so, James, I want to thank you very much. No, this is naked voter suppression. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to intimidate you and prevent you from having your ballot hand counted. That's what this is. Again, they're up to their old shenanigans. So they're trying to steal it in Georgia. They're trying to steal it in Pennsylvania. I talked about PA last week. They were openly caught turning away Republican voters, openly telling them not to vote. Many of them had to come back a day, second day, third day, have them wait in line 3-4 hours and say, oop, I'm sorry, you can't vote early. Now, in Minnesota, we got them on tape. Somalis on tape admitting they are illegals. They cannot vote. And yet they're saying they all voted for Kamala Harris. They were told to vote by the Democratic Party. In fact, they were paid to vote by the Democratic Party, saying that Kamala will give us amnesty, Trump will deport us. So I could go on and on and on. In Virginia, they tried to keep thousands and thousands of non-citizens on the voter rolls. So there's no question the Democrats are cheating. There's no question they're engaging in voter fraud. We have to swamp them. That's the way we beat them. And I want to make, again, a desperate plea. This is the CIA, this is the deep state. It's called a PSYOP. They psychologically demoralize and break you down. What they want you to think is, it's going to be stolen. What's the point of me voting? They're going to take it from us anyway. That keeps you at home. And by keeping you at home, that prevents the tidal wave, the swamp, us swamping them, making it too big to rig. Go and vote, even if you have to crawl over broken glass. That's all I'm asking from everybody. If we all do our part, we will win. Let me repeat that. Our country is now in our hands. If all of us do our job and just go and vote, come hell or high water, you're sick, get yourself to the polls. I got to go work. Tell your boss you're going to be late for a couple hours. Go to the polls. Okay? Your wife wants to have sex with you. Say, sorry, wait, I'm going to go to the polls. You understand? Nothing is more important than voting. Everything else, honey, wait till I get home, baby. Okay? I'll be in a better mood then. So vote, 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 vote. Angelo in Rockland. Thanks for holding, Angelo, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. You're absolutely right. So what's going on is Dixville Knox, they didn't do the first voting there, whatever. But remember, New Hampshire is very important. And it's important because it says live free or die. That's a model for the whole country to see. And what I'm getting at is they're going to win it there because it says what it says, live free or die. When they throttle your freedom of speech, when they hit you with lawfare because they don't like you, and when a parent can't voice their opinion because they don't like what they see in public schools, that's not living free. It's time to die. So let's go to the polls, let's vote, and let's turn this thing around. I seriously think it's too big to rig. People actually have had it with those three statements alone that I said, not to mention what the hell has been going on in this country for 4 years. They mean good, but they mean good for their own wallets and their own gain. And what makes me laugh, Jeff, is they say, "Oh, Trump's going to give only breaks to the wealthy." Well, the wealthy, let's face it, run this country, and if they get some breaks, they can get the economy going, and it trickles down to the average working hard person that breaks their ass for a gallon of milk. So let's get going. Everybody do the right thing. Everybody, Christians, get out and vote that you usually don't. Midwest, everybody. And it's too big to rig. What you say, Jeff.
Angelo, thank you very much for that call. Here, look, I don't want to depress you on a Monday morning, okay? But here, huge story, New York Post. Massive story. This is in Long Island. An illegal alien brought in under Biden and Harris. Now, charged with raping a 5-year-old girl. This is just a taste of what they've done to our country and what Kamala vows to do should they put her over the top in November. She says you're going to get more open borders, more unlimited third world illegal immigration. You're going to get amnesty. You're going to get free college for these people, free health care, free education. And yes, rapists are going to continue to come in. Child molesters, murderers, gangbangers. So we're now talking about, this is in New York, one of Biden and Harris's illegal, okay, one of their illegal migrants, one of their illegals, raped a 5-year-old girl. She was 5. These are the kinds of animals they're letting in. Now, are we going to continue to allow that? There's only so much any country can take. That's why, to me, this is no choice. This is the easiest choice you can ever make. It's Trump or bust. Dave in Worcester. Thanks for holding, Dave, and welcome. Did we lose Dave? Okay, who do you want me to go to next? Let's go to another Dave. Dave in Stoneham. Thanks for holding, Dave, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
Very good. How are you, Dave?
Jeff, I'm going to be with you on this one. I'm a little bit nervous about it. And also, Jeff, I'm tired of the lies that Kamala Harris is putting out. that just last night, Jeff, she had a commercial on TV. If Trump gets in, a lot of women are going to die because they can't get abortions. Jeff, I'm sick of hearing that Kamala Harris is going around saying that Trump is going to put everybody in jail. And, Jeff, the whole thing with that stupidity of hers, he didn't say he's putting everybody in jail. He's talking about Black Lives Matter, Antifa, and whoever else wants to start a riot as soon as Trump does get elected legally. And, Jeff, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of her smirks like everybody's saying. I'm sick of her big mouth. And, Jeff, I'm just tired of the lies that she's going around saying that Trump's putting everybody in jail. No. So, Kamala Harris, stop lying, get your life together, and go get a job.
Dave, drop the mic, baby. Thank you very, very much for that call, Dave. 617-266-6868. Look, all weekend long. I mean, there's a point where, look, even some in the media are saying, Trump's got grounds for slander. Like, you just can't keep lying like this. So she's rolling out ads saying that Trump wants to undo everybody's health care, take away everybody's health care. Trump came out and said, I haven't even thought of this. Like, where did they come up with this? I never said it. Where did they get this? Now he wants to end everybody's Social Security. And they're like, he's like, what? It's lie after lie after lie after lie. Now, I don't know if you heard the latest. Somebody mentioned a couple callers ago about the deep state, whether they're Democrat or Republican. Well, the Cheneys, these warmongers, who gave us that debacle and disaster in Iraq and what happened in Afghanistan, well, now they're going for Trump's throat. So, Liz Cheney has been on the campaign trail with Kamala Harris, and she's asking other Bush Republicans to, whether it's her father, whether it's Condoleezza Rice, you can run down the whole list. You've got Adam Kinzinger, so all of these, Charlie Baker, just go down the list, Bill Weld, all of these Bushy Republicans are now telling everybody, vote for Kamala Harris. Now, so Trump came out and said, look, I'm done with this. I really am. These are the Mitt Romneys of the world, the Liz Cheneys of the world, the Dick Cheneys of the world, her father. And so Trump came out and said, look, these are warmongers. And they love to send our young men and our young women to die in their endless wars while they sit comfortably in Washington, D.C. and make millions and millions and millions of dollars off of the military-industrial complex. So Trump turned around and said, you know what? Why doesn't she pick up a gun and go? She wants to send our young people to die, but she's never willing to face the consequences herself of her policies and her actions and her disasters. And so he then made the comment, and he's completely right. Why doesn't she go pick up a gun, be deployed, and be somewhere in Afghanistan or Iraq with 9 barrels, give her a rifle, and 9 barrels shooting at her? And he goes, then you'd see you'd see a very different story. And that her treason is so bad that they would line her up with a firing squad, because that's how much she keeps selling our country down the river for all of these horrible wars that she's gotten us into. Now, from what I just said, the media, led by Cheney goes on X, Liz Cheney, the warmonger, the neocon, and says, see, he's a dictator. He wants to destroy our society, our freedoms. He wants to now execute me, execute people like me who speak out. He wants to shoot me in the head. And the media took that from Liz Cheney, and they have been running wild over the last 48 to 72 hours. Whether it's, this is CNN, or MSDNC or NBC Meet the Mess or Steffi Stephanopoulos on ABC News or, oh my God, my head's going to hurt. Honestly, he's going to execute Liz Cheney. He just called for her to be assassinated. He called for her to be executed, to be lined up to the firing squad. And deliberately, frankly, brazenly, disgustingly, taking what Trump said so out of context, twisting his words, manipulating his words, distorting his words, to the point that it's like, he didn't say that. He never said somebody should execute her. What are you talking about? Listen now. This is just a taste. This is Alina Treen on CNN. This is a taste of the nonstop propaganda that the media has been parroting all weekend. Roll cut 17, Mike.
This kind of rhetoric, this violent rhetoric that Donald Trump has been using, including when he referred to Liz Cheney just a couple of days ago, saying that maybe they should line her up and shoot some barrels at her.
I mean, that is beyond disgusting. I mean, this is what I mean. This is such journalistic malpractice. This is slander. This is libel. This is defamation. I mean, sorry, this is pure 100% bull crap. I mean, they're lying, and they're lying to our faces, and they know that they're lying, and they know that we know that they're lying. Listen to what Trump actually said. Roll cut 17A, Mike.
I don't blame him for sticking with his daughter, but his daughter's a very dumb individual, very dumb. She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face.
Meaning, let's put her in combat. That's because that's what they put. What do you think? What do you think serving in Iraq? Ask the people who served in Iraq. Ask the people who served in Afghanistan. Ask them. They put you in these hellholes, and you're surrounded by these terrorists and insurrectionists, and they're trying to shoot your face off or blow your body up with IEDs. That's what so they put him in these wars without even the means to win the war, with these ridiculous rules of engagement that no army could win. And our soldiers come back either dead in coffins, or maimed, or crippled, or permanently wounded. And they want to just keep doing this over and over. And in fact, they want to send U.S. troops to Ukraine. They want to fight Russia, bring about World War III. They want a war with Iran. They want a war with China. They want a war with everybody around the world. And Trump says, you know what? Take a gun. You're such a tough girl. You're G.I. Jane. Take a gun and go to Ukraine and see what 9 barrels shooting at you and with, guns to your face. Let's see how tough you are then. And from this, literally, he's going to line her up and shoot her in a firing squad. Remember what I said earlier, last week. Talk to every liberal friend or family member or neighbor you have. Say, what is it about Donald Trump you don't like? And within a second, whatever comes out of their mouth is always a debunked media lie. You watch now. Why don't you like Trump? He's going to execute Liz Cheney. He's a dictator. He's going to line people up and shoot them. No. He said she's such a freaking warmonger. She keeps sending our children, our boys and girls to die in foreign wars. Why doesn't she pick up a gun? And with the guns barreling down on her, maybe she won't be so tough. She should suffer the consequences herself of what she's advocating for everybody else. It's easy to be a laptop warrior. It's easy to be a chicken hawk. Her father, Dick Cheney, started a war in Iraq. 4,000 American dead. 36,000 maimed and wounded. Over trillions of dollars spent. he got richer. It wasn't Dick Cheney's limbs that were blown off. It wasn't his children that were sacrificed in the deserts of Iraq. He made out like a bandit. His daughter made out like a bandit. The Bushes made out like bandits. They all made out well. And that's Trump's point. You're so tough, you go and fight. Now, let me make one final point, and I promise I want to get back to the phone lines. Barbara Bush, one of the George W. Bush daughters, openly campaigning for Kamala Harris. Dick Cheney, endorsing, supporting Kamala. Liz Cheney, his war hawk, neocon daughter, supporting and campaigning with Kamala. The family of Bush, the family of Cheney, the Karl Roves, the Mitt Romneys, all of the Bushy neoconservatives are all going all in on Kamala. What does that tell you? Under a Kamala Harris regime, it's going to be more war, and more war. They should be ashamed of themselves. 721 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, we are now on the cusp of the most important election of our lives, maybe in American history, arguably anyway. How do you feel about the election? And it's the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's. Mario's quality roofing, siding, and windows. How does tomorrow's election make you feel? Are you filled, A, with optimism, B, with dread? A, optimism, B, dread. So I can tell you right now, Grace, my wonderful wife, my better half, is a B. My sister and my younger sister-in-law, Grace's sister Lori, who's going to spend the week with us, they're B's. Mike, I would say, is a lukewarm A. He'd probably vote A, right, Mike? But not with a lot of enthusiasm. In other words, he's cautiously optimistic. Sandy is Switzerland. Sandy right now says she has no opinion. She just wants Trump to win, but she really has no idea how the race is going to go now. So, and I'm an A. I am strongly optimistic. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm just, I don't know. I look at this, I look at the outpouring of support for Trump, and I'm thinking, boy, if they steal this one, it's going to be the mother of all steals. So I am an A. My wife is a B. What say you? Are you A, optimistic, B, filled with dread? Are you filled with optimism, A, or filled with dread, B? I want to hear from you. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhn as in national ER, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhner. If you prefer, you can vote via X. Again, last night, very active. My handle there on X, at the Kuhner Report, all one word, Kuhn as in national ER, the Kuhner Report. Lines are jammed. Jan in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Jan, and welcome.
Hi, Jan. Sorry. Hi,
okay.
Jeff.
Jeff, yes.
So I'm using a fake name. So, because I live in a small town, I did go to the rally last night. I'm not a good guesser, but I'm going to guess about 800 to 900 of us were left outside in the cold, but we stayed. We listened to him on the speaker, and it was we were only out there because it was jam-packed full inside. So, and we were fine. We were happy. Everybody was talking, and one gentleman said, he goes, I voted for a different president a elections ago. He goes, I'm not going to say his name, but I'm here now. I'm all for Trump. And so everybody urged him, well, who did you vote for? And he said, Obama. He said, but then he said about 6 months into his term, he said, I realized I did the wrong thing. So anyway, he was there for the first time. I was there for the first time. Never been there before. Never been to a rally or anything because I was always scared away. I'm older, and I was told it was going to be rowdy and noisy and people pushing and all that. But I thought, I have to experience whatever. And so I went, and it was none of that. Everybody was so nice. People trying to take care of each other to, make sure that everybody kind of, because it was cold. It was in the 30s. So it was really cold, especially when the sun, kind of went down, and the later it got, the colder it got. But we were all hoping that we'd get in. There was tons of people behind me. We were there. I was there probably, I think I got there around 4:39, something like that. That's what my GPS said when I got out of the car. So it was really good. So that was a good thing.
Jan, can you please hang on? I want to take you on the other side. So Jan was at the rally in Derry, New Hampshire. J.D. Vance made an appearance, spoke at the rally. Packed, absolutely packed. The polls now say New Hampshire, dead heat. 7:31 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, Trump barnstorming. There's no other way to put it. Blitzing from one battleground to another, pushing himself really to his absolute limit. He is doing 4, 5, 6 town halls, rallies a day, setting a blistering pace. This is him in Pennsylvania, blasting the entire swamp, the ruling class, the uniparty, the entire political establishment, saying that they have poured trillions of dollars into our national debt and deficit, lining their pockets while creating an inflation crisis. And then he took a shot at Mitch the Squish McConnell. And apparently, I don't know if you heard about this, but late last week, McConnell now facing a tremendous backlash, tremendous pressure for not endorsing Trump, for not sending any money to Ted Cruz in his race in Texas, or Rick Scott in Florida, or in other races that are helping MAGA conservatives, finally came out and, in a very mealy-mouthed way, endorsed Donald Trump. Well, Trump basically told McConnell, take your endorsement and shove it where the sun don't shine. Listen now to Trump saying, you can keep your endorsement. I don't want it. I don't need it. Roll cut to Mike.
They got trillions and trillions of dollars. Hopefully we get rid of Mitch McConnell pretty soon because he helped them. That guy. Can you believe he endorsed me? Can you? Boy, that must have been a painful day in his life. Every time I think of it, he didn't have to do that. He provided the necessary votes. What a disgrace.
He's completely right. What a disgrace. Whether it's Ukraine, whether you could just run down the whole list. I mean, this guy just kept shivving Trump over and over, and the whole party in the back again and again. Yeah, it's okay, Mitch. We don't need your endorsement, okay? Really. It's fine. It's okay. Keep it. Listen now to Trump. Now, it was in North Carolina. And he really started to open up, saying this is the most important election in our entire country's history. I need you to vote. I'm doing my part. I'm breaking my back. I want to turn this country around, but I can't do it without you. Vote. Roll cut for Mike.
I'm always going to put America first, and we are just 3 days away from the greatest political victory in the history of our country, I guess in the history of the world. But it only happens if you vote. If you don't vote, then bad things could be happening. You'll be very depressed. And we don't want to have depression, right? There's no depression. You know the best way to stop depression? Work your ass off. Work your ass off. You don't have time. You want to work so hard that you don't have time for depression.
And then he went and he said this. This is again in North Carolina. He was also in Georgia. Like I said, all he's doing now is pounding the battleground states. Rally after rally after rally. And, you know, he's starting to really open up. And he said, look, I'm going to be honest with you. No one has more writing on this election than I do. If this thing goes down, if they steal this, if Kamala prevails, I'm going to go to jail. I'm going to go to jail probably for the rest of my life. Many of my supporters will go to jail. They will bankrupt my family. They will bankrupt my business. It will be the end of me and everything I've ever worked for. So if you want to save your country, you've got to vote. Because after they come for me, trust me, they're coming after you. Roll cut 5A, Mike.
Oh, and you got to look. If I don't win this thing after all this talk, I'm in trouble. Will you please go and vote? I mean, I came here. Whatever the hell time it is, who the hell knows? I'm giving you the full bore. You wouldn't let me leave in half an hour. I could have run up here, done it, start screaming, "Make America Great Again" for 5 or 6 times, and then leave to the cheers of the crowd. I would have been home sleeping right now. I hope to hell that you're going to get your asses out and vote.
It was a monster rally. It went on for, was it 2 hours? I mean, it's almost midnight or whatever it was. I mean, he's putting in 20-hour days, punishing, grueling schedule. I mean, he's leaving it all, you know, they say he's, you know, pouring his guts out. He's leaving it all on the floor. So, and he's going to be campaigning again today. So, look, he's given it his all. We've got to give it our all. We've got to vote and bring people to vote. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree. In fact, I don't know if you noticed, the poor guy even began to lose his voice. I mean, he's just talking and he's going to lose his voice. That's how much he's talking. Trying to rally the troops. Dan in North Andover. Thanks for holding, Dan, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Dan. Dan, how are you, buddy?
Good. How are you? I'm back in North Andover. I was in Vegas, Florida, Vegas, Jamaica last week. But I can tell you, I am probably as nervous as I've ever been for anything. The country's gone if Trump doesn't win. But I am cautiously optimistic. I can tell you this: if Trump was running in Jamaica today, he would win in a landslide. The people there are begging to get Donald Trump back. Begging.
So really, even in Jamaica, I know across Central Eastern Europe, Dan, that, I mean, almost to a man and woman, like they all want Trump. I've never seen anything like this. Dan, I don't know if you saw the Joe Rogan podcast, but there are people commenting, and they were from all over the world. All over. And they're like, what is wrong with you Americans? Like, how can this even be close? You've got to vote for Trump. Have you all lost your minds down there? So, but Dan, you're saying even in Jamaica, they're saying you got to go for Trump.
People coming up to me saying, can you help get Trump get elected? Can you help Trump get elected? Honestly, it's amazing, Jeff. Amazing. So the big story there last week, though, and this will give you some pause. A boatload of Cubans, 10 Cubans, arrived by boat illegally on the shore. Do you know what they do in Jamaica? They give them some food and they push the boat back out to sea. Goodbye. Can you imagine that?
So they just gave, here's some food, here's some water, and there you go. Go back to Cuba.
You can't come here as illegally. You can't come into Jamaica illegally. So, and that's it. So the American government is crushing Jamaica. You read the State Department, it tells you that crime is off the charts. Don't go there. They're crushing it. And the only reason why I can figure they're crushing it, Jeff, number one, they're nationalists. They're not going to go along with this new world order. Number two, they're Christian, and they're crushing the country. They decimated it with COVID. Now they're decimating it with these State Department reports telling you not to go there. But I can tell you, it's not what I witnessed. I've been there a bunch of times, but it's not what I witnessed last week. But I can tell you this: traveling, I'm spending a lot of time on planes, especially this month. And I love to get people next to me that I can talk to. I'm starting to get more people totally agree with me, Jeff. Totally. And it started out a year ago. I started this campaign to talk to everybody I could, and you would lose, half the people, 3/4 of the people would, shun you off. Now you're getting people stick up their thumb and say, yeah, let's go. So I don't know, cautiously optimistic, Jeff.
Well, Dan, look, I got to tell you, no one's done more than you in terms of doing their part to bring voters over to Trump's side. There's no question, Dan. You have been an absolute warrior, my friend. So your gut is telling you you're optimistic, but the Democrats can always still steal it, correct?
Absolutely, they can steal it. But I can tell you this: as of this morning, $3.1 billion has been bet in poly markets, and they are currently at 58-43 in favor of Trump.
Interesting. Dan, as always, thank you very much for that call. So basically, Vegas is tilting Trump. Annie on the South Shore, thanks for holding, Annie, and welcome.
Oh, my goodness, the day before the biggest day of our life. I am in A, and I will tell you why. The good Lord did not catch that bullet and save Donald Trump's life just for him to lose. The thing is, he's right in saying, you know what, he's out there, he's in the front line, but it's up to us, the people. When I hear people say, what can we do? Get your butt up, get out there and vote. As a matter of fact, I am going to be working the polls in the town that I live.
Good for you. Annie, look, you nailed it. God didn't save Trump for him to lose. But we got to do our part. He can't win if we don't vote. More next. 7:49 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I just want to read this. You can text us 70470, 70470. This is from 603. Jeff, in 2016, I was steadfast that against all the odds, Trump would win the election, and he did. In 2020, my feeling was that Trump would in actuality win, but that the Democrats would do everything they could to steal it, and they did. In all humility, this is what my spirit is telling me, that despite all the theft, fraud, and rigging, President Donald John Trump will prevail and win the 2024 presidential election, and he will become the 47th president of the United States of America by the sheer grace and mercy of God. That's the feeling I have, so let it be. 603 pretty much sums up my feeling as well. I was convinced he was going to win in 2016. In fact, I wrote a column. I was the first in the country of all the major commentators to say, mark my words, Trump will pull off one of the biggest upsets in American electoral history. And he did. He did. In 2020, if you remember, I had Trump's people on the entire election, and I kept saying, they're going to steal it from you. What are you doing to prevent the steal? And lo and behold, he won. Don't get me wrong. In actuality, he clearly won that election. But my gut kept saying they're going to rig it and they're going to steal it, and they did. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the massive surge of support, this groundswell, this outpouring across the whole country. Maybe it's Elon Musk with his chart yesterday saying that as things stand right now, 600,000 more Republicans have voted in Pennsylvania, and that's a huge 10% increase. And Elon says they just can't steal that many votes. And whoever wins, I'm simplifying it a little bit, but whoever wins Pennsylvania essentially wins the election. To show you how fundamental Pennsylvania is, if Trump wins all the red states, which he's going to do, and he wins Iowa, which he's going to do, despite that bogus poll over the weekend, which was garbage. Okay, that poll, the New York Times poll claiming that Trump is behind in Iowa by 3 points. That's a lie. That's a lie. Every other poll has him up either 8, 9, or double digits, 10 points. So that was a Democrat oversampled poll. And the New York Times, I'm telling you, is going to have egg on its face tomorrow. Okay? Tomorrow night. Anyway, so if Trump holds all the red states, and he holds Ohio, which he will, and Iowa, which he will, and Florida, which he will, then here's all that he needs now to win. If he wins Pennsylvania, all he's got to do is take Georgia and North Carolina, 270 electoral college votes. That's the majority. It's razor thin, but it doesn't matter. That's 270. He's the next president of the United States. Winning Pennsylvania makes it, I'm not saying impossible, but almost impossible, very difficult for Kamala to win. Now, conversely, if Kamala takes Pennsylvania, then Trump's in trouble. Now, again, mathematically, he can still do it. He wins Arizona. He wins Nevada. He's going to have to win Georgia and North Carolina and pick off at least Michigan or Wisconsin. He's going to need one of the two upper Rust Belt states. So it's not that it's impossible, but the hill is higher to climb. But to show you, that's why essentially who wins Pennsylvania wins the election. And right now, Trump is looking very strong in Pennsylvania. So, look, who would I rather be? In the Trump camp right now or in the Kamala camp? I'd much rather be in the Trump camp. Arizona now, I think, may be too big to rig. So if Arizona falls and then Pennsylvania falls, Trump is on the cusp. He's at the gates of victory. And if we can deliver New Hampshire, that's all he's going to need. So to everybody up in New Hampshire, you have no idea how important your vote is. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree. Matt on Cape Cod. Thanks for holding, Matt, and welcome.
Jeff, good morning, and thanks for taking the call.
My pleasure, Matt.
Jeff, I got a couple of things to say if you'll allow me the time.
Yes, go ahead.
Back in 2020.
Matt, can you hold on? Your phone is going haywire. You sound like I said, one of those androids or robots in Star Wars. Let's see if we can reconnect with Matt. Matt, take 2.
Jeff, can you hear me?
Matt, hold on. We're going to go to someone else, and then we're going to come back to you. Okay, my apologies. You're not doing anything wrong. It's the phone connection. Who do you want me to go to next, Mike? Mark in Medford. Thanks for holding, Mark, and welcome.
How are you on election eve?
I'm doing very well, Mark. How are you, my friend?
Well, Jeff, to answer your poll question, I'm 50-50. I am 50% hopeful, but I am 50% dreadful, and I'll tell you why. I'm 50% hopeful because I also agree with you and a lot of other people that it is too big to rig. But the one thing that's bothering me, Jeff, is certification day. What is going to happen? What are they going to do? What are they going to say to prevent Trump from being certified as POTUS?
Well, look, Mark, I don't want to cross that bridge until we get to it, but since you mentioned it, and you're always very prescient, I have to say that, you're always a step ahead of everybody. The governor of Washington State has now called up the National Guard. The governor of Oregon has now called up the National Guard. And I believe the governor of Nevada has now called up the National Guard. And they're not calling up and by the way, it's for election violence. They say they have credible intelligence. I believe them. I really do. They have credible intelligence that they fear mass violence, rioting, and looting on election night. Well, Washington State and Oregon in particular are deep, deep blue states. In fact, just so everybody knows, Portland is in Oregon and Seattle is in Washington State. Those are the strongholds of Antifa. Remember, that was the Chad community that occupied downtown Seattle for, over a year. It was an occupied territory, no-go zone for the entire government. So they're not calling up the National Guard to deal with you and me, Mark. They're not calling them up to deal with MAGA. This is Black Lives Matter. This is Antifa. This is what Trump calls the enemy within. The violent, revolutionary, radical left. So they are not going to accept a Trump victory. And even now the Democrats are admitting that their supporters are going to run wild. I believe Boston could see rioting, to be honest. I think New York is going to potentially see rioting. I think Seattle and Portland are going to see rioting. There were 12 groups tied to the Democratic Party. You can look it up. Big story late last week that have come out. They signed a letter saying that we will not accept a quote-unquote Nazi like Donald Trump to become the next president of the United States. We will go to the streets and blood will flow in the streets. So they're planning their own insurrection right underneath our nose. And to show you how bad it's getting, and I warned everybody, I said, you're going to see a lot of this. What happened to Brian Foley, where he got beaten up by a pack of thugs, pro-Democrat Kamala thugs, because they saw him with his Trump flag. Well, that was in Boston, okay? South Boston to be particular. Mark, I want you to hear this, my friend. This is in Bath, New York, in New York State. So this is now what's happening up in Bath. A violent pro-Kamala Harris supporter, a leftist, was arrested for beating up a Trump supporter at a grocery store in Bath, New York. I'm just going by the local media. This is what the local media reported. On Friday, just 2 days ago, there was a young man wearing a Trump 2024 hat at a Tops Friendly Markets. According to every witness and the police, he was a stranger. He didn't know the attacker. He didn't say a word to the attacker. He's literally shopping with his cart. 60-year-old Robert Yott, Y-O-T-T, spotted him and started yelling, Nazi, fascist, you piece of garbage. These are Kamala's words. These are Biden's words. According to police, Yott repeatedly punched the supporter in the face, smashed and broke his teeth. I'm going straight now from WETM, the local media. A Bath man is facing charges after he allegedly attacked a stranger in a grocery store for wearing a Trump hat. Robert Yott, Y-O-T-T 60, was arrested following an incident at Tops Friendly Markets on West Morris Street in Bath on November 1st. Now, listen to this. According to the Village of Bath Police Department, Yacht became aggressive and started a confrontation with a stranger shortly before 10 a.m. on Friday because the stranger was wearing a Trump 2024 hat. Police say Yacht punched the victim in the mouth and in the head multiple times. The victim's teeth were smashed and broken. His mouth became bloody, dripping with blood because of the attack, which appeared to be a random act of violence. Yacht and the victim had never met before the attack. In fact, they had never spoken before the attack. Now, I warned this was going to happen. I said, you mark my words. You keep calling Trump supporters Nazis and fascists and garbage. You are putting a target on every Trump supporter's back. And you're going to start to see mass violence. Mark, they haven't even cast the ballots yet. They haven't counted the votes yet. And they're already randomly assaulting Trump supporters in the grocery store for the crime of wearing a Trump 2024 cap. But Mark, we're the violent ones. Mark, we're the threats to democracy. We're the fascist thugs, Mark. If Trump wins, it's going to get ugly. And the left is going to get violent. And I'm telling you, we're going to have to treat them the way they treated the January 6ers. No mercy. No mercy. You riot, you loot, you plunder, you go to jail, and you go to jail for a very long time. Am I wrong, Mark?
Jeff, you're 1,000% right. And I got a message for those people after Election Day tomorrow. Bring that crap to me. I dare you. I dare you. Bring it to me. Because I will be wearing my MAGA hat tomorrow, and I will be wearing my MAGA hat the day after the election when Trump becomes the 47th president of the United States.
Amen. Mark, I'm wearing my MAGA hat and my MAGA shirt, and I'm going to wear it everywhere. So I'm with you. No, they're not going to intimidate us. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. And Mark, listen, I'll bet you the best. I mean, I know you're not going to take my bet because you know I'm right, but it's an expression. I love to use it. I'll bet you the best steak at the steakhouse of your choice. Because this Yacht guy, he looks like a very big guy. Just by the picture, he's got a big head, big jaw. He looks like a big bony, guy with big bones, broad shoulders. I bet the guy that he beat up was a small, skinny little Trump supporter. Like a typical left-wing bully. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. So he saw a scrawny little guy, probably a college student or whatever, with a Trump hat, and he said, I'm going to show him who's boss. He's a bully, a coward, and a thug. And I'm telling you, Mark, you know what? Let him try that in Texas. Let him try that in South or North Dakota. Let him try that in South Boston, Mark. And they'd give him a beating he'd never forget. Final word to you, buddy.
I do have one more question. Do you believe that there will be Congress people challenging the election, and do you believe there will be senators signing that document where they kick it back to the states if Trump wins? That's what I'm worried about.
Mark, I got to be honest. Yes, I think the answer to your question is I think the Democrats will not certify Trump. The Democratic members of Congress and Democratic senators will not certify Trump. The problem is that they got done in by their own hatred for Trump because they signed the law and passed the law whereby the vice president must certify, period. They cannot kick it back to the states. By law, Kamala Harris is forced to certify whoever wins the election. So if Trump wins and we keep the House and flip the Senate, there's nothing they can do. They can rage and riot and loot and plunder. They can scream, shout, but that's all they can do. And then we'll call them the election deniers and brand them the insurrectionists. That's why I cannot wait for a Trump victory, Mark. Because I believe it will be the end of this regime, and it will be a body blow that Democrats will not recover from for a generation. Mark, thank you very much for that call, buddy. 617-266-6868 is the number. Look, this could go either way. If they steal it, we're talking a hammer and sickle communist revolution. But if Trump does the impossible and wins this, you're now looking, this is going to be 1932, where when Hoover lost, the Republicans in Hoover lost, and they were sent to the political wilderness for an entire generation. That's what a Trump-Vance victory could mean. It could mean, for a generation, the loss of power by the Democrats in the House, in the Senate, in the Supreme Court, and in the White House. We're looking at 12 years of incredible MAGA rule. Do we have Matt back? Okay. Matt on the Cape. Hopefully the connection is cleared up. Go ahead, Matt. Take 3.
Can you hear me, HQ?
Yes. Yes, you got through, Matt. Okay, go ahead, my friend.
Okay, Jeff, I got a couple of things, if you'll allow me, that I'd like to say. Number one, I've come on your show for the last 2 years, and I said they're going to steal this thing. And, I've been saying that for 2.5 years. However, I'm cautiously optimistic today. Back in 2020, we picked up 12 House seats. We won 19 of 20 bellwether states, but yet Trump lost the election. Number two, what I'm afraid of is them stealing the House. The problem that Democrats have right now, and Kamala Harris, is their low propensity voters did not come out. That's the quandary they're in. The votes aren't there. Now you have economists, you have intelligence people, you have handicappers in Vegas, and you have honest pollsters saying Trump is going to win. Okay? But if you listen, and I think the big tell came over the weekend, there's a couple of problems. They're going to try to steal this thing in specific areas. And they're going to do it in a number of different ways. In fact, they've already been caught, but they have more ways. They don't know how big the wave is going to be. And they've got this thing with these CAVA or these overseas ballots that they're going to start flooding into the country. The other thing that was very evident over the weekend was Raskin said something that I never heard him say before. And he was asked, finally, the Democrats were posed the question, are you going to accept the election? And Raskin's answer was, yes, if it's free and fair. That's telling me something there, that these people are worried, but they've got a plan B and a plan C, whether it's through the House, through the individual states, through the secretaries of states, the AGs, the governors, the corrupt judges, to try to steal this for the deep state. Because I still believe, are they going to win? I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I can tell you this, like I've always said, losing for the other side is not an option. There is way too much. They have way too much at stake between the Epstein list and the corruption, the treason, and everything, the P. Diddy thing and all that.
Well, Matt, it's almost like you were at our dinner table last night, because that was Grace's argument the whole dinner. Just like you, very powerful, very eloquent, very logical. She said, you don't understand, losing for the other side, as you phrased it. That's how she put it. Jeff, she phrased it slightly different. She said, they can't lose. Do you understand what I'm telling you? They can't lose. In other words, as you put it, losing is not an option. You're both saying the same thing. You're just slightly phrasing it differently. But that's what she said. She said, you understand they have too much at stake. Too many abuses of power, too many laws broken, too much money, too much control, everything is at stake for them. Everything. And the only one who's really got everything at stake is Trump. He's the one that's going to go to jail. Not me. You know what she was saying? Not you. She was pointing to me, not Lori, who was sitting right beside me and, right across the table from us. And she's like, we're not, for now, we're not going to jail. He is. That's why he's fighting like a madman. But nobody else is. The other side, they're all fighting for their lives. And that's why they're going to do everything in their power to block Trump. 617-266-6868. More with your calls next. 822 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. You know what? Good old Dougie. Doug Emhoff, Kamala's husband, the second gentleman. Well, he was also stumping for Kamala at a rally in Georgia. And he says, when Kamala says she's going to do something, she does it. And what is she going to do? Roll cut 18, Mike.
Kamala did what Kamala always does. She just put her head down and she went to work.
Oh, the jokes write themselves on this one. You know what I mean? Enough said, huh? Lisa in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Lisa, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff.
Lisa.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
How are you? I'm good. So listen, I feel today the way I felt in 2016. Everybody thought I was crazy. Everybody thought Hillary was going to win, even though I was surrounded by some Trump supporters. But then I lived in Mass, right in Boston. I was surrounded by Democrats. But I feel today the way I felt then. I knew it in my bones that he was going to win, because I knew how I felt about him. I knew what he was saying is what I felt inside. I knew that there were people out there that felt the same way. So I don't have a single doubt in my mind that he's going to win. Can we all agree that Butler was a miracle, that we actually witnessed a miracle?
Oh, no question.
I can't.
I think there's
right?
no question. No question.
No, and we all witnessed a real live miracle. What would be the reason for it, for him not to save the world? I don't look at him as saving the country. I know that he'll help us save the country. He's not a magician. He's only got 4 years. I believe he was put here in this time and was meant to lose in 2020 so they can tip their hand a hell of a lot sooner than they planned. They have been slow and steady since the 60s, planning the demise of this country. We saw it, we witnessed it, we allowed it, we said nothing. Then Trump comes and he tells us all these things that we knew and we felt, and then we were like, you know what? He's right. We knew they were going to steal it in 2020. We knew the pandemic was a plandemic. But what's so brilliant and stupid about them at the same time is they planned it to get him out, but they were so stupid that they tipped their hand. And they did it a hell of a lot sooner and out in the open more than they planned. They thought they had a little bit more time because they thought they were going to get Hillary on top of Obama. And they thought that for 16 years they were just going to burn the place down. They didn't get to do that. So in my bones, not only do I think he's going to win, I think there's going to be an upset. And I think that they're not prepared to cheat in states that they think they have, I don't think they're going to get them all. So I am cautiously optimistic. Now, Matt stole my thunder when it came to Congress. That's my fear. My fear is that they will let him win because there's no way that they can't, but they're going to try to steal the Congress. Once they get Congress, he's a lame duck. They know it, and we're in trouble, right? Because they'll impeach him. And it will be 4 years of misery and hell.
Lisa, I think you've laid out the scenario brilliantly. I'm going to reply on the other side. Lisa, again, thank you so much for that call. More next. 8:32 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, cleaning up the liberal bull baby. Okay, look, I think Lisa really put her finger on something. Let's just leave the United States, as I say, let that go. Let's just leave it off the table, okay? Obviously, that's the most important reason to vote for Donald Trump, for our country, and for our fellow Americans. But Lisa made the point that she believes it was an act of God. It was a miracle that saved Trump on that fateful day in Butler, Pennsylvania. And I agree with her, as I like to say, not 100, but 1,000%. And Lisa went on to say, Jeff, look, I think God put him on this earth for a mission. And it's bigger than America. It's to save the world. We have two raging wars right now that very credibly, very legitimately, very plausibly can spiral out of control into World War III. Russia, Ukraine, the obvious one, but Israel, Hezbollah, Israel, Hamas, and now what's clearly becoming a larger war, Israel and Iran. Iran has now said they're going to retaliate big. They're going to launch a massive, huge retaliation for Israeli airstrikes targeting Iran's military facilities and their missile facilities in the wake of the Iranian attack on Israel before that. So clearly what's happening now is that the war between the proxy war is now becoming a hot war, is a spiraling war between Iran and Israel. Israel is a nuclear power. Iran is a breakout nuclear power. They could, if they want to, get a nuclear bomb within several weeks. Russia is a nuclear power. In fact, they have the most nuclear weapons of any country in the world. More than we, more than the United States, more than China, more than any other country. Ukraine is fully backed by NATO. And as Ukraine now fires our missiles and our rockets deeper and deeper into Russian territory, killing Russian civilians, targeting Russian bases and Russian military assets, the Russians keep saying over and over again, you are asking for a nuclear response. Now, the reason why so many in Europe are begging for a Trump victory, the reason why over 80% of Israelis want a Trump victory, the reason why across the Middle East they are hoping and praying for a Trump victory is because they're not stupid. The writing is on the wall. We are going down the path of a potential World War III. The only question is it going to happen first in Mother Russia and Ukraine, or God forbid, in a larger war between Iran and Israel? If Trump does anything else, if he just ends the wars in Russia, Ukraine, and Iran, Israel, and brings peace to those two regions of the world, his presidency will be one of the most successful in history. Why? Because he averted a nuclear catastrophe. Seriously, Armageddon, a nuclear mushroom cloud. We are dangerously close to a third world war. more than we ever were during the Cold War. By the way, and that includes the Cuban Missile Crisis. And that's why Robert F. Kennedy Jr. came out. Tulsi Gabbard has come out. Elon Musk has come out. Democrat after Democrat after Democrat, and said, on the Ukraine issue alone, on the issue of peace alone, everybody must vote for Donald Trump. Because Kamala Harris is a creature of the oligarchy. She's a puppet of the system. And at the heart of the system is the military-industrial complex. That's why Liz Cheney is going all in for Kamala. Dick Cheney, all in for Kamala. The Bushes, all in for Kamala. Warmongers like Mitt Romney or Adam Kinzinger, or I could run down the line. Bill Kristol, that famous, that infamous neocon. All the people, Jonah Goldberg, I could run down all these intellectuals, Max Boot. They all were the architects of the Iraq War. And we thought they had been discredited. No. They've come back to power and respectability. This time through the Democratic Party and through Hillary Clinton, Obama, and Kamala. The neocons want another war. And they've been itching for either a war with Russia or a war with Iran, or frankly, both. And another war with Russia or another war with Iran will be a nuclear war. That's why Trump is warning everybody, saying these aren't just war hawks. These are radical, dangerous war hawks. So if you're anti-war, if you're for peace, you must vote for Donald Trump. And that's why I agree with Lisa completely. I do see the hand of God in all of this. But look, God does his part. We got to do our part. My fear is, it's like, well, God wants him to win. I'm going to stay home. Why should I get up off my rear end? No. God helps those who help themselves. So we have to do our part come hell or high water. Now, I'll be voting tomorrow. I don't do early voting. I've urged people, Trump wants people to do early voting. I urge you to do early voting. I've always been an election day guy. That's just Grace and I. That's our DNA. I've always been like that. Never have I participated in early voting. I truly believe in election day, one day where everybody votes in person, with a few exceptions, obviously. Our military or those, elderly or people who really can't make it to the polls, like genuinely can't make it to the polls. So with a few exceptions, in-person voting, one-day voting, paper ballots, hand-counted, and we get the election results within 4, 5, 6 hours. Now, I want to raise one more point and then go right back to the blazing phone lines. And this is not an original point. Many are making this point. There are 50 states in our union, okay, to state the obvious. 43 of those states, isn't this a coincidence? 43 of the 50 states all say you can have the election results. You will know the election results by the end of the night. I mean, it may be 1 or 2 in the morning, but you'll know. So polls close at 8 o'clock. And then basically by midnight, maybe 1 or 2, if it's pretty close, by 1 or 2 in the morning, 6 hours later, you will know who the winner of the presidential election is. But notice this. In the 7 battleground states, Shazam, baby, it's going to take days. They can't tell us who's going to be the winner on election night. Isn't that incredible? So a large state like California, no problem. Texas, no problem. Florida, no problem. Illinois, no problem. New York State, no problem. No problem. Smaller states. I don't know, Massachusetts, Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Iowa, Kansas. I don't want to do all of them. You get my point. No problem. Small states, mid-sized states, large states, West Coast, East Coast, Midwest, Southwest. It doesn't matter. Pacific Northwest. By the end of the night, no problem. But the pivotal 7 battleground states that's going to decide the election, all of a sudden, we're not going to know for days. Arizona, there will be no conclusive results on election night. Nevada, got to keep counting. Georgia has now come out and said don't expect results until Friday. This Friday, at the earliest. North Carolina, same thing. Pennsylvania, they says you're lucky if you get results by Saturday. Michigan, Wisconsin, this could go on for days, they're saying. New Hampshire, now they're saying, I don't know, a lot of ballots, machines, hand counts. We're not sure if we can deliver the election results for you on the night of the election. It's a lie. Most of these states are controlled by Democrats and Democrat secretaries of state, and the strategy is obvious. Drag it out, so you can help the Democrats cheat and steal. 8:49 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, in about 41 minutes at 9:30, we're going to have Massachusetts Senate Republican candidate John Deaton on. He is a never-Trumper who is challenging Elizabeth Warren. He will be on for an exclusive newsmaker interview. And the woman now that's making all the rounds, especially on the internet and social media, Lily Tang. She's a MAGA Republican who's looking now to pull off a big upset in New Hampshire in the 2nd Congressional District against Jake Sullivan's wife. Mark my words. If Lily Tang wins, New Hampshire will flip and vote for Trump tomorrow. To me, that is the bellwether race. We're going to have her on at 9:45. Okay, very quickly. This is a huge story. All of you need to be aware of it. You want to see, and by the way, hat tip to the New York Post. They first broke it, and now it's been confirmed by dozens of media outlets. You want to see how utterly corrupt and fake and bankrupt, and I mean morally bankrupt, how utterly bankrupt and fake the Kamala Harris campaign is? So, according now to the New York Post, the Harris campaign has now been caught paying hundreds of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions, to social media influencers to endorse Comrade Kamala. So they're coming out and saying, oh, I'm endorsing her, I'm for her. And they're all bought and paid for. And not only are they buying off their support, listen to this, it comes with talking points. They offered the money. If you say yes, you can't even say it in your own words. You have to follow their script. So apparently Nicole Arbor, never heard of this woman, she's apparently a pretty big social influencer. She now came out and said, hey, look, you want to see how corrupt these people are? Here is the email I got. They said, you want $25,000 right up front. Here's $25K. Check it in here. You can deposit the check in your bank. You have to endorse Kamala, but here's the script. Trump is a threat to democracy. You love Kamala. You're with her. She's a woman of the people. Blah, 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 blah. The New York Post also reported Beyonce, the famous singer, was paid $10 million. Okay, she's a top dollar gun for hire. $10 million. And by the way, what was that, a 4-minute speech? So $10 million buys you Beyonce's endorsement, but it ranges from $25,000 to at least $1 million, and it's for Beyonce and these other superstars, $5 million, $8 million, $10 million. So this is to show you how corrupt people in Hollywood are. All these Hollywood elites, all these social media influencers, all these celebrities who are like, I'm with her, he's a threat to democracy. Most of them don't even believe it. It's here. Here's the money. There it is. Now you say what we want you to say. AstroTurf. She has no real grassroots support. It's all AstroTurf. It's all fake, artificial, phony, bought, and paid for. 617-266-6868. Tony in Florida. Thanks for holding, Tony, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff, my fellow patriot. We're sitting on the biggest moment, bigger than 1776. It's happening in real time, and I can't believe it's here, Jeff. I just can't believe it's here. It's going to be great.
Less than 24 hours away, Tony. Tony, have you voted, or are you waiting for tomorrow?
Right. Yes, Jeff, I wanted to tell you about that experience, and funny you should ask. Okay, so we usually do vote same day, but we decided this year to do the early voting, and mostly because President Trump has been encouraging everyone to do it. Bank your vote, get it in there. So we went on Friday, and Jeff, the enthusiasm was unbelievable. We got to the early voting site, Jeff. There were hundreds of people, and the line was moving along very nicely. The kindness and the atmosphere, just the enthusiasm, it was just incredible. And when you finally got inside of the voting center to vote, of course you have to have your ID out. You present your ID. You even give a signature. I mean, it is done. It is so secure. But every time a person got checked in and everything, and if they were a first-time voter, the attendee would the attendant that is watching the polls would announce, we have a first-time voter, and everyone would just stop and applaud them, and just, oh my gosh, it was an incredible atmosphere, Jeff. And we got through. It was so positive. And when we left the area, they have, you have to be so many feet. I think, there's so many yards or feet away from the polling site. You had the different tents set up, with the different, promoting their candidates, And the area where the Trump tents were it was crazy. They're giving out stickers and just what an atmosphere. And the area where there was one, Harris Waltz tent, and there was nobody there, like, talking to those people at all. It was just kind of interesting. So it gave you an idea. Jeff, what I'm hearing on the ground here is that early voting in Florida is record-breaking. And you may not even hear that on the regular media or anything, but everything on the ground, it's record-breaking. And things that I'm hearing about with other states, it's just been record-breaking early voting. It's just going to be way too big to rig. And I'm sticking by my prediction, Jeff, that I have told you the last few calls, that it's going to be the biggest landslide in the U.S. history. It's going to happen. I'm not listening to any of the media, even the conservative media, Jeff, not you, but like a lot of the different, whether it be Fox or Newsmax, they're talking about dead heat. I don't believe it for a minute. They're probably just saying that so people will watch them. But the only media we've been watching is Right Side Broadcasting Network, which would be RSB as in boy, network.com. Their live broadcast of the rallies and their commentary is spot on. They're incredible, and they're so honest. So that's what we're turning to. But it's just going to be record-breaking. It's record-breaking early voting, Jeff. And it's just going to be too big to rig. I'm feeling.
Well, that's my sense as well, Tony. Tony, that's my sense as well. I don't think it's going to be a landslide. I'll be honest with you. I think it may be an electoral college landslide. That I agree with you. In other words, anything over 300 is considered a landslide. And I think he's going to get over 300 electoral college votes. I think the popular vote, I think Trump will win the popular vote. but I don't think it's going to be, where he wins it by 4, 5, 6 percentage points. I think he probably will win it by about 1.5 percentage points, which is a lot, and he's going to run the table on the battleground states. I mean, I could be wrong, but if you're asking me to predict it, to handicap it, that's what I would say. I think he's winning Arizona. I think he's going to win Nevada. I think he's winning Pennsylvania. That's the ball game right there. He's going to win North Carolina. He's going to win Georgia. And I think he's going to smash the blue wall. He may not win both Michigan and Wisconsin. Maybe she'll take one. They'll manage to steal one. Michigan is a lot of voting fraud. So I think Trump will pick off one of those two. Maybe even both, but I would suspect she holds one just because of the cheat that they have on. But, look, she's in trouble in Minnesota. She's fighting for her life in Minnesota with Waltz as the governor. New Mexico now. Trump is within striking distance. Virginia, he's down less than a point. I mean, within the margin of error. New Hampshire is, according to the polls, is a coin flip. It's neck and neck. I think he's going to take New Hampshire. So, if he does as well as I believe he will, you're looking at way over 300. I mean, a convincing electoral college victory. So let's just keep our fingers crossed. All of you need to know this. Okay, this came out over the weekend, big story. Nate Silver, he's the famous data guy, prediction guy. This is what he does. He does analysis, analytics, data. He's a liberal. He's openly saying, I want Kamala to win. I'm not for Trump. I'm voting against Trump. But he's coming out and saying that the polls are they're understating Trump's support. He has come out and said that the race, according to him, is not as close as the media would have us believe. They're trying to turn it into a horse race. And he said it's not a horse race. That they are deliberately downplaying Trump's strength, especially in some of these battlegrounds. That it's not a dead heat, say, in Nevada or North Carolina or Pennsylvania, but that Trump is up a solid 3 to 4, 5 points, which pretty much makes it too big to rig. I mean, we shall see, but so Nate Silver now says, no, Trump's going to win. So again, it's just one guy. It's just a prediction. But when liberal handicappers are telling you, don't believe the polls, they're oversampling Democrats, and they're deliberately downplaying Trump's strength in the polls, that they are underestimating his support. That's pretty much how I feel. Again, that's what I see on the ground. That's what I hear from people on the ground. That's what local media is reporting. And that's what the local polls are reporting. Not the big national ones, but the local polls. That's where Trump is really doing well. So, again, tomorrow, everything will be known. 617-266-6868. Doreen in Dorchester. Thanks for holding, Doreen, and welcome.
Yes. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you, Doreen?
I'm doing very well. I wanted to remind you what Joe Biden had said, that he had the greatest, most inclusive, exclusive voter fraud organization in the history of the United States politics, and it started with Obama. Do you remember him saying that?
Yes.
So they plan to steal this election again. And with President Trump, it's only the grace and mercy of God. God has his hands on him because God has promised Abraham, I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you. And what did President Trump did to Jerusalem? He made Jerusalem the capital of Israel, didn't he? So God
yes,
has...
You're completely right, Doreen. Look, I have to be brutally honest with you, okay, like I'm in the confessional. My wife prayed for Trump. I have prayed for Trump. We went to church yesterday, as we always do every Sunday. My sister-in-law joined us, Lori. She's like us, a devout Catholic. She prayed for Trump. My children are praying for Trump. I felt for a while now, and again, it's going to be up to tomorrow. It's out of my hands. I'm just speaking now from the heart, that the hand of God has been driving Trump now really for the last couple of years. If you just stand back objectively, what man survives 2 assassination attempts? One time shot in the face, relentless lawfare, persecution in the courts after persecution in the courts. They tried to bankrupt him. They tried to bankrupt his family and his business. They tried to literally force him off the ballot. He has faced challenge after challenge, hurdle after hurdle, attack after attack, from the media, from Democrats, from the entire corrupt Republican establishment. Everybody and everything has been arrayed against him. And yet, the people who have never abandoned him is us. We stood with him through thick and thin. And now, as I speak to you, Doreen, and as I speak to all of you, we are now on the cusp, God willing, and it will be the hand of God, of the greatest political comeback in American history. And I would argue, maybe even in world history. That's a miracle. That's a miracle. And so I hope nobody forgets that. But again, I don't want to sound like a broken record. Nothing can be done if we don't go out politically and pick up our sword and vote. God helps those who help themselves. If we don't help ourselves, we're going to lose. Now, I'm really speaking from the heart. I'm not stroking anybody's ego. I'm not giving you false hope, false optimism. God as my witness, as a Christian man, I'm telling all of you this, okay? On my children, okay? You know I love nothing more than my children. Okay, I love my wife, but if it's anything, I may love my children even a little bit more, okay? I adore my wife, but my children are such a blessing to me, okay? On my children, I know this in the bottom of my soul. If we all go out and vote, every single last one of us, they can't steal it. It's too much. It's too big. Trump will be the last man standing. So when I say to all of you, it's not a line. It's the God's honest truth. Your country, our destiny, our future, and that of our children and grandchildren literally rest in your hands. And that's why I'm telling you, I don't care what it is. Tomorrow, if you're not voting today, because some people are voting today, but if you're, not voting today, tomorrow, no matter what, nothing is more important than voting. Nothing. Nothing. Everything else can wait. Everything else can wait. You must vote. Period. Full stop. You do that, and the day is ours. As they used to say on the battlefield, the day will be ours. But we got to do it. We've got to do it. 617-266-6868 is the number. And let me just say one last thing. Okay, again, I'm speaking now from my heart. If we lose tomorrow, if we don't do everything that we need to do to win, Your children, my children, your grandchildren, and if I'm blessed, my grandchildren will have no future. That's how dire this election is. That's how decisive. That's what a watershed it is. I want to repeat this to all of you. Our children and our grandchildren will have no future. How can you not go out? How can you not go out and vote? Right there, it's fixed. They're going to rig it, Jeff. The fix is in. Go and vote. Jeff, it doesn't matter. Tweedledoo, Tweedledoo. Go and vote. Jeff, I can't be bothered. Go and vote. Jeff, I don't feel well. Go and vote. Well, I don't care what I'm telling you, there is no reason. I've never voted before, Jeff. Vote this time. Okay? Don't ever vote again. I'm telling you, really, seriously. That's fine. You never want to vote again? Don't vote again. Just vote tomorrow. That's all I'm asking. Now, I'm being honest. If you can't do that, then we deserve to lose our country. If we vote, we deserve to win it. But if we don't, we deserve to lose our country. Period. Full stop. You know, that famous phrase, I love it. Here I stand. I can do no other. Dan in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Dan, and welcome.
Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, it's as simple as that. It said the ad says that the Republicans are campaigning on abortion ban. This is false. You know, and when you're looking at the congressman race, Annie Custer was a 0, and you know, Guland is going to be, I think, a 0-, quite frankly. So that leaves. This is why you got to vote for Lily. This is plain and simple. I mean, it's going to be a massive upgrade from a 0, especially when you got Pappas, who has a 10 voting record. 10, yeah. And then Gene Shaheen and Maggie Hassan have a 5, so they're all to the left of socialist communist Bernie Sanders, who has a 15. So that's what it is. And the earlier caller, that's from New Hampshire, I forget his name now. I think it was Jake. Talked about some of the election stuff. And, yeah, you got to remember, okay, he's right about some stuff, but the machines were never approved in New Hampshire. They never put it on the ballot in 79, and they never got the 2/3 majority vote from we the people empowering the legislators to change the election laws. It was done fraudulently, okay? On top of that...
Well, and Dan, look, to reinforce what you're saying, we got to get rid of those voting machines. We got to return to paper ballots and hand counts. No question about it. And that's why Trump has vowed one of the first things he'll do, should he win power, and that's why the Democrats are so petrified, he's going to pass a national voting integrity law, a national voter integrity law, and we are going to return to same-day voting, for the most part, in-person voting, paper ballots, hand counts. We're going to have honest, free, and fair elections again. And Lily Tang is going to be on, by the way, at 9:45. And when I say she's a pistol, oh, that debate, my God, she handed that Democrat, Jake Sullivan's wife, her head on a platter. She roasted her. It was beautiful. 9:21 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, coming up next at 9:30, you do not want to miss it. John Deaton, Republican senatorial candidate, anti-Trump Republican senatorial candidate will be on, and I will be asking him the tough questions. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. But first, I want to continue to take your calls. 617-266-6868. Barbara in Maryland. Thanks for holding, Barbara, and welcome.
Good morning, and thanks for taking my call. You
My
are
pleasure.
so positive. You've got me all pumped up. I'm an election judge. I'm coming off of working 8 days with early voting, and the lines have been phenomenal. We are witnessing history. I think you're completely right. I want people to continue to come out and vote. I mean, really swamp them. It's going to be too big to rig.
Oh, Barbara, you sound great. I got to tell you, I can sense even the optimism and the positivity in your voice. Barbara, I know Maryland, it's like Massachusetts. It's deep blue territory. It's unfriendly territory to people like you and me.
Yes.
Do you think, how do you see Trump doing in Maryland? Does he have a chance?
I think he has a chance of turning this state purple. Whether or not he will win is the electoral votes here, the popular vote for him here. And I'm praying that, rising tides lifts all boats, that we pick up some Republicans in the House to help him. But I think it's going to be surprising what happens here. I mean, I'm an election judge, so we were on 2 hours after closing, just doing people in the line, people who were in line at 8 o'clock. Incredible. I think what's happening in the streets, the move, and you had a caller, I was listening, he said that, the first-time voter, we do that here too, first-time voters. And so many of these first-time voters are middle-aged and some senior citizens that are voting for the first time. Unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it in the 4 years that I've done elections. Before elections.
See, Barbara, you nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. And this is why I'm really optimistic about tomorrow, because I want Trump, obviously, look, the key and the only thing that matters is the Electoral College. Okay, nothing else matters. So you get 270, you're president. It doesn't matter what the popular vote is. But what I'm starting to sense now is that Trump is going to overperform even in deep blue states like Maryland, like Massachusetts, like Oregon, like Washington, like California. I'm not saying he's going to win, obviously, but he's going to do better than expected. And what that's going to translate to is a higher popular vote total. And I think what we're going to look at is that Trump wins the Electoral College comfortably, but also beats Kamala in the popular vote. And why that's important? If Trump beats her in the popular vote and in the Electoral College, the libs have nothing to complain about. Nothing. Remember when he beat Hillary, he said, oh, but he lost the popular vote. Always with an excuse. This time, potentially, no excuses. She lost in the popular. She lost in the Electoral College. She lost. Barbara, agree, disagree?
Absolutely agree. That's what's going to happen. And you know what? The result of it is going to be peace. It's going to be peace in the streets. There's going to be joy and just overwhelming celebration for Donald Trump winning to save this country. So many people now just, we want to make America great. That's just it. And everything else is going to just fall by the wayside. And there's not going to be trouble. And none of that's going to happen when he wins. And he is going to win. I believe it. I feel it.
Barbara, Trump wins. America will be reborn again. Barbara, God bless you. And the next time you and I talk, we will know who the next president of the United States will be. And just like you, I'm praying, I'm hoping it's going to be Donald J. Trump. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, my friends, coming up next, trust me, I don't care where you are, you're going to want to hear this interview. John Deaton, Republican senatorial candidate. He is challenging Elizabeth Warren. But if he wins, he says he will oppose Donald Trump in the Senate, like Mitt Romney, just as much as he would oppose a President Kamala Harris. So I will ask him the question. John Deaton is next. You don't want to miss it. Don't touch that dial. 9:31 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, cleaning up the liberal bull. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, joining us now is a man who is no stranger to the Kuhner Report. He is the Republican senatorial candidate challenging Elizabeth Warren, John Deaton. You can check out all of his biography, his policy positions on johndeatonforsenate.com, johndeatonforsenate.com. John, thank you so much for coming on the Kuhner Report. How are you?
I'm doing great, Jeff, and thank you for having me. I really appreciate having time with you this morning.
It's my pleasure, John. Thank you so much for coming on. I also appreciate it very much. John, right out of the gate, I want to ask you, to the vast audience of Kuhner Country, you versus Elizabeth Warren, why should they vote for you and not her?
Well, let's be honest. Just about anybody would be an improvement of Elizabeth Warren. I think these are the most failed policies, and they're grossly impacting the state. You know, she supports open borders. She literally objected to Biden placing a 2,500 cap per day on illegal crossings. Who does that? Well, people who want illegals to come in and then want to give them amnesty and then want to give them a path to citizenship, so that then they can stack the voter deck. But other than that, if they look at who I am, Jeff, I'm an everyday person, small business owner, served 7 years in the Marine Corps. I've been a lawyer in Massachusetts for 22 years, fighting major corporations on behalf of working families. I come from extreme poverty, and, you know, I know what the daily struggle is of everyday Americans and people in the Bay State.
John, on certain key policy issues, take the border and immigration, inflation and the economy, crime. Where are you fundamentally different than Elizabeth Warren?
Well, I support expanding legal immigration, but having a zero tolerance for illegal immigration. You know, and we should want to recruit some of the best minds in the world to come to America and to add to us. And so, you know, when you hear these stories where we learn that 435,000 convictions with 225 pending convictions, Jeff, that's 600,000 felony convictions in the last 4 years. And we're talking, you know, 15,000 rapists, 13,000 murderers. I don't think that's the people we want to contribute to society. And so I believe in zero tolerance for illegal immigration, and she believes in the opposite.
Well, John, now you know what the obvious follow-up question is going to be. I'm a Trump supporter. Much of Kuhner Country are MAGA, or they're going to vote for Trump. I'm a staunch Trump supporter. You have said publicly and repeatedly, to your credit, you've been very open about it, you didn't vote for Trump in 2016. You didn't vote for Trump in 2020. You will not be voting for Trump in 2024. Why?
Well, listen, just so your viewers know, I was in Holyoke yesterday at the Trump Mass GOP luncheon, and I was the keynote speaker. And what people need to know here, your listeners, Jeff, is that if I got every Republican in Massachusetts, if they love me, everything about me, I get 8%. And so what I'm trying to do is get a seat at the table, Jeff. If you don't have a seat at the table, then you can't effectuate change. I mean, this one-party rule is destroying Massachusetts. You're talking about 88% of the state legislature, the governor, lieutenant governor, secretary of state, treasurer, auditor. It just goes on. And they wake up and they say, you know what we're going to do today? We're going to eliminate mother and father off birth certificates. And we can't even object. We can't hold it up in the state legislature. They just do it. Or they wake up the next week and say, we're going to pass a gun law so vague that it's impossible to comply with it. And if you can't comply with it, then it's a de facto ban. And they could just wipe away, you know, or try to, Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens. And we can't do anything about it. And so 64% of the voters in Massachusetts are unenrolled independent voters. And Trump lost by 33 points last time. He's not very popular here. And I'm just doing my best to get a seat at the table. Hopefully, if you saw the debates and your viewers saw the debates, I validated everyone listening on why they're voting for Donald Trump. And I stood on that debate stage and I said, maybe because I don't support President Trump, that I'm the right messenger to these elites in Washington, D.C. And I went through a litany of lists: no foreign wars, and Americans feel betrayed that we're spending billions of taxpayer dollars on illegals. And it seems to be, in today's America, under this far left policy, it's better to be a illegal migrant who just got here than a homeowner in Asheville, North Carolina. And so I went on that stage to validate why people are voting for Donald Trump, because we know the other side calls deplorables, and they put us in the deplorable basket. And so if you don't appeal to the independent voter in Massachusetts, you're not going to get a seat at the table. And that's what I'm trying to do.
John, but let me ask you the obvious follow-up. I listened to you on illegal immigration. You sound like a Trump supporter. On no foreign wars, a Trump supporter. On gun laws, a Trump supporter. On transgenderism, a Trump supporter. So I'm just curious, why won't you vote for Trump? Why didn't you vote for Trump? I mean, you weren't running in Massachusetts in 2016 or 2020, but you refused to support him both times. I'm just curious.
It's a great question. No, I appreciate it. It's a great question, Jeff, as always. Look, I took the position that I believe that we're going off a cliff. $36 trillion in debt. All they do is print more money. Jeff, 80% of all U.S. dollars have been printed in the last 4 years. And we have foreign wars, and we have all these things. And if half of the country thinks that you should be in jail or this or that, even if they're wrong, it makes it hard to govern, and it's only going to be investigations, and it's only going to be more division. And so, it's more about, we need people to unite the country. And if half of the country, feels a certain way about President Trump, then it makes it difficult to lead. But listen, what you just said isn't wrong. I mean, I went to the event yesterday because I want to disabuse people. I'm not running against President Trump. I was at the Bitcoin conference with President Trump in Nashville. I was on stage with Bernie Moreno in Ohio and Sam Brown in Nevada, spoke on the same stage, but it all comes down to, if the independent voters in Massachusetts if they don't align with President Trump for whatever reason, even if they're wrong, Jeff, you're never going to get a seat at the table. And so, I know that's not the best answer for some of your viewers, but like you said, I've always been upfront. I'm desperately trying to do something about this one-party rule. I achieved the American dream in Massachusetts when I became a lawyer at New England School of Law. I love Massachusetts, and I'm in serious fear that we're the next California.
John, two more questions. Say you win. Okay. I know the polls say you're behind, but hey, anything can happen. Say you win and Trump wins as well. In other words, he pulls it off. He wins these key battleground states, and it's the greatest political comeback in American history. Will you be a consistent anti-Trump voter in the Senate? In other words, will you become the new Mitt Romney or the new John McCain, whereby you'll be voting as often against Trump as you would, say, against a President Kamala Harris?
No, that's the point I was trying to make, is that, I'm running against Elizabeth Warren, not Donald Trump. Look, if I was running, I'm not delusional, Jeff. If I was running against Donald Trump, I'd lose, just like everybody else, DeSantis, Nikki Haley, and the rest. But I'm running against her, and I have one test. Is it good for Massachusetts and America? If it is, I'm all in. And that's the reason voters should vote for me, because Senator Warren will be iced out. We all know that even if it is a great plan for Massachusetts and America, she will not support it just because it has Trump's name on it. That's a guarantee. I am not like that. If it's good for this country that I love and Massachusetts that I love, I will become the biggest fighter for that and the biggest ally. I would also give a voice to the Senate, because she will be frozen out. If President Trump wins, she's just a partisan hack from the other side. She'll have no voice in the Senate. And in a close Senate, my vote would matter. And so, of course, I would work. Listen, if President Trump wins, you're not an American if you don't want him to be successful. I mean, I honestly feel that way to my core. If President Trump wins, of course I want him to be successful. And so, because if he's successful, then the country will be successful. And so I think that's the very reason people should vote for me, Jeff.
John, 1 minute left. What's your path to victory? The polls say you're behind, but look, it's a crazy election. Anything can happen. How do you see yourself pulling this race out quickly?
Yeah, it all comes down to whether I reached enough voters. When I reach the voters, I win. When they learn that I'm a veteran from the Marine Corps and that I'm pro-choice, it's immediately a single-digit race, like 7 points in Massachusetts. And then when they learn more about me, they come my way. I have a lot of people are tired of this broken system. You know, Senator Warren and people like, yeah, Senator Warren is a reason why President Trump and her policies may be the next president of the United States.
John, sorry, they're giving me the hook, but I wanted to make sure you got everything out. John, best of luck to you tomorrow. If you want to see more about John, his biography, his policies, what he stands for, go to johndeatonforsenate.com. John Deaton, D-E-A-T-O-N, johndeatonforsenate.com. John, thank you so much for coming on the Kuhner Report. Take care, John. Bye-bye. 9 on the Kuhner Report. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, cleaning up the liberal bull. Okay, it is my distinct honor and privilege to have. Have you seen her debate performance a couple nights ago? Lily Tang Williams. She is the MAGA Republican candidate for the 2nd Congressional District in New Hampshire. She is running against Maggie Goodlander, who, by the way, is the wife of of National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, and she destroyed her. Lily Tang Williams destroyed Goodlander in that debate. In fact, the clips are going viral. They're all over the internet. Lily, welcome back to the Kuhner Report. You are finishing very strong down the stretch. How are you?
I'm doing great. We feel energized and give last push. I have a town hall tonight on the campus of New England College. It's open to the public and all the press. And she refused to debate me on 3 college campuses. So they're going to host a town hall just for me. And I love to engage our students and draw the sharp contrast between me and her. And the college students traditionally vote for Democrats, but this time they have a serious choice to say vote for Lily is actually vote for their American dream.
I'm urging everybody in the 2nd Congressional District. I'm telling you right now, if I lived in New Hampshire in the 2nd Congressional District, I would crawl over broken glass to vote for Lily Tang Williams. She is an outstanding candidate. You want to talk about principled, MAGA, conservative, Trump supporter. Lily, tell me if I'm wrong. The sense I get from you, your entire campaign, you lived through Mao's revolution in China. You have seen the horrors of communism up front. The passion in your voice, the urgency of your campaign. Do you fear if Trump loses, or in this case, if Maggie Goodlander wins and helps Kamala Harris win, that we will see communism come to America like it came to your former homeland of China?
Well, that's why I've been saying that for years now. I don't want this country becoming the country I love. I saw today's Democrat Party is infiltrated by Marxists, communists, and socialists, and they do not treasure the American ideals I hold dear in heart. They are the party of big government, out-of-control spending, open border, and criminals, and also censorship and endless foreign wars. I do worry that Tim Walz, Kamala Harris, they are sympathizers with communist China. Tim Walz went to China 30 times and took his students with him, paid by Chinese government. What kind of country wasn't living
if they all win the races, it becomes one party, dictatorship in our country. They have already legacy media on their side and big tech on their side. So I want the people to turn out to vote. You have not registered yet. Go register tomorrow with your ID and vote. It is a precious citizen's right. I did not have in China. I never voted in China for 24 years of my life there. So we need to turn out tomorrow, and we need to drag your neighbors, your friends, your family members, and spread the word about my debate. I want to be that voice of reason and also compassion for our people in our district in D.C.
Go to lilytangwilliams.com. Lily Tang, T-A-N-G. Lily, by the way, one L. So L-I-L-Y. lilytangwilliams.com. Lily, we still have a few more minutes. You really took it to Maggie Goodlander when you said, she tried to accuse you of favoring the rich. And you turned around and said, hey, I'm not the one with the $2 million mansion in Portsmouth. I'm not the one with multiple homes and apartments all over New Hampshire. Lily, do you think, is that the moment that your campaign has really now turned around?
It's just that she is repeating DNC talking points, and she does not offer actual solutions, proposals on the issue that our voters are concerned with. It just came out of my chest naturally and passionately to call out her, leftist liberal hypocrisy. She's constantly blame corporations for the high inflation caused by government printing money. Then she pretends to be poor renter, complaining about rent to be so high in Nashua, and she's deceiving the voters. And she crushed her opponent in the primary by playing victim. I just cannot take that. So I'm just being natural that I become that passionate voice to defend the working class families who are struggling, and she does not understand their sufferings. I survived communism, poverty. I struggle economically, mentally, and I struggled that when I first came over with $100 as a foreign student and to study, did my master's degree. And I made myself out of nothing this greatest country on earth. And she just cannot pretend, and to deceive people and to repeat the same talking point. She's got $2 million from George Soros, Clinton cash, running TV ads against me and call me extreme. So that's something wrong with this country. If I love freedom, embrace live free or die values, come to New Hampshire, and I'm extreme. And if you do not understand Constitution, repeating your party talking points, want to defund the police, you are not extreme. She is extreme, not me. I love this country.
Brilliant. lilytangwilliams.com. lilytangwilliams.com. If you're in the 2nd Congressional District in New Hampshire, please vote for her. Lily, best of luck to you tomorrow. And I just wish you could come down to Massachusetts, because I'm telling you, if you were running against Elizabeth Warren, you would destroy her. Come down to Mass, Lily. We need you. Thanks again, Lily, and best of luck. Okay, again, please, if you're living in the 2nd Congressional District, that's who you vote for. Lily Tang Williams. Bye-bye.